Okay, guys, I think we can start. So my name is Alec, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Pathway. And I wanted to do a quick poll before we start. So Dana, could you launch that poll really quickly? There should be a little pop-up that comes up on your screen soon. Is it up yet? I don't. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay, now I see it. Okay, so the question is, are you doing anything with BPA RPA already? Okay, multiple choice question. So are you doing anything with BPA already, RPA already? So if you guys can just take a few seconds to answer that, see the results. So yes, we're building it ourselves, 10%. So 10% are doing it yourself. Interesting. A quarter of you are with a third-party provider right now. Okay, so that's interesting. And then the majority of you, 71%, say no. Okay, interesting. Okay, so that's interesting. Okay, good. So that gives us a good idea. And let me just change the slide here. 1 sec. Okay. You're probably thinking, why is George Clooney and Bono from U2 on this slide deck about insurance automation? And there is a story. So if you're interested, stick around and I'll share it at the end. I'm actually sharing at the end just in case there's people that are not interested, they don't care about the story. So I don't want to waste your time. But if there is an interesting story, but put it this way, Pathway would probably not exist if not for these two. So I'll share the story later if you guys are interested, okay? And then also with me is, excuse me, is Nick, who's the main technical guy and my co-founder in Pathway. This is the only picture of Nick that in the light. He's always in a dark room, as he is even today. And with the computer screen is sort of his only light. So that's Nick. And then we are also joined with Dana. Dana is the head of sales, guys. She's when she's not trying on wedding dresses, she's getting married in November. She's doing some demos and helping people understand our products. So that's Dana. And who is this webinar for? Well, it's for people that are working at an insurance brokerage that are responsible for making operations run as efficiently as possible. Okay. By the way, I think Steve from McCarran Coates, one of our clients, is also going to be here. He's at a UK brokerage. He's using Actress. He's using one of the bots. So I think he's here with us as well. And the goal of this webinar is to show you how you could save 80% in costs by replacing some of what you're doing manually with bots, okay? And then how to take action and implement these digital workers into your business within as little as 2 weeks, okay? And there's also going to be a designated Q&A session later, but you can always use chat to ask questions during, and we're going to try to respond as quickly as possible, okay? So feel free to ask during if you don't want to wait until the Q&A later, okay? And, it's been a while since we've hosted a webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about our latest products, which are these BPA bots. And, BPA stands for Business Process Automation. So automating tasks that you're doing manually right now, okay? You can probably just think of some things that you're doing over and over. You log into your BMS, you click a button, you fill in this form, you copy and paste info from one field to another area. And so there's a lot that we can automate with these new digital workers, and it's just going to be, giving you some more time to do other things, okay? Now, there's some things that the bots are useful for, and then there's things that they're not. So let's just define, before we kind of get into it, let's just define what that is, okay? So what tasks are better suited for bots? And bots are best for repetitive rule-based tasks, such as data entry, basic communication, document processing, and routine workflows, okay? So, sending automated reminders and documents. Most of you, if you're already clients of Pathway, are already doing this with Connection Bot or one of those other Pathway products. for renewals and sending documents and billing reminders and payment chasers. So you're already using it for that, but you can also now with some of these additional bots do things that revolve around data entry and management. So this includes syncing data across applications. It could be taking data from the BMS and putting it into the carrier portal, where you're copying and pasting info from one field to another field. Bots are great at that sort of thing. Also generating reports. We're going to show you one bot that is cross-referencing data in a spreadsheet with data in a BMS. And then the bot produces a status report, like the one you're seeing here. And then it delivers that report to designated staff. So we're gonna get more into that. But that's, bots are great at these things. So, and then what tasks are better suited for humans, right? So humans are great for tasks requiring judgment, empathy, complex decision making and client relationship management. So relationship building and building trust, talking to clients on the phone, fostering long-term relationships. Talking to people creates memories. And there's a lot of hype around AI. We're excited about it. We're going to be using it in a lot of our products. And it's exciting, but humans are just better at relationships, and I think they will be for a very long time. Consultative sales, all right? So customizing insurance products to meet individual client needs, especially for complex policies or commercial clients. I mean, just people are better at that. And then claims handling and conflict resolution. So evaluating claims that aren't standard, reviewing conflicts between clients and insurance companies, and dealing with denied claims. So this is a good task for people. Okay, so what are some of the benefits of BPA bots and cost savings through some obvious efficiencies, right? So cost savings is probably the primary one. You were doing something manually and now you're not. So by the way, we're pricing these bots to cost 80% less than humans doing these tasks manually. Okay. They're actually going to be considerably less, even if you're outsourcing. If you're outsourcing right now to the Philippines or somewhere, these are still going to be considerably less than that. So if there's a bot that works for your applications, it certainly makes financial sense to implement them, okay? Error reduction, less errors, which is good for many reasons. We don't have to elaborate on that one. And then scalability. I mean, hiring has been a major challenge for brokerages. So as clients implement these bots, they just don't have to hire as many people, which results in additional cost savings, okay?
Thanks, Alec. Hi, everyone. My name is Dana, and I'm excited to tell you more about our bots. We started working on this just a year ago, but I can tell you it is definitely a very hot topic on every sales demo since the early days. Initially, and you may remember this if you were with us back then, we asked all of our users what are the processes that are the biggest pain points for them and their teams. And that was a starting point for us. And now, fast forward to today, we still have a lot more in the pipeline, but we're happy to present the ones that are officially tested, approved, and ready for implementation. Starting strong with Renewal Assist Bot. The Renewal Assist Bot makes it easy to review expiring policies by automatically comparing them with their renewals. It looks for any changes in coverage, like limits or deductibles, and flags any major price increases that might affect customer retention. Renewal Assist Bot is currently available to Epic users for now, based in Canada and US. And Marco, our BPA lead, is eager to tell you more about it, and he has some videos prepared for you as well. Marco, over to you.
Thank you, Dana. Indeed, I am. So again, thank you, everybody, and welcome. So what you're going to be seeing right now on your screens is the video of our Renewal Assist Bot in action on its UI portion. The reason I'm saying this wording, the reason I say UI portion, is because a lot of the work on this bot happens actually in the background. It is picking up information from Epic and then synthesizes that into a twofold product. So the first part of the product that you're currently seeing on screen, which I've paused right now, is going to be this activity note in Epic. Basically, it's going to present a synthesized overview of how the renewal policy will look like. And in the flag section, we'll actually tell you why you're actually getting this information. So in this specific case, if you're looking here for the test purposes, it was a very nice premium increase of 38%. And after that part is done, the second thing that the bot will provide is this PDF attachment, which will contain its cover page, and then it will contain a side-by-side comparison of the expiring policy and renewal policy. And that side-by-side comparison will contain all the key details. So just like Dana mentioned, there's going to be limits, deductibles, but it will also flag any big and important changes. So if some coverage has gotten very expensive, which can happen from time to time, especially with thefts now, for example, in Canada, if the premium itself has gotten too much, if something has dropped, or if something has been added on the renewal. And this will allow you, when you're paying attention to this specific renewal, which you are because of premium increase, you will know what exactly you need to focus on and kind of be step ahead of your clients. So you actually have way and to outreach to them before they come to you and asking, hey, why this increased, why this has changed, etc. Additionally, the bot has this functionality where you are actually allowed to customize what the trigger is going to be, so it doesn't have to be set 10 or 15%. You can have control over that. More triggers will also be coming down the line. And yeah, that's the basically Renewal Assist Bot in a nutshell. Thank you, Dana. Back to you.
Okay, now brokers that have already implemented this bot are already seeing operational benefits. For one of our users, my insurance broker, the bot is saving around 172 hours of manual work for their team monthly. Now, this is 2 full-time equivalent, giving us an estimated return on investment of 98,000 Canadian dollars annually. So 98,000 ROI, that's massive, right? And just a side note here, when discussing these stats, these are very conservative calculations, as here we're looking only at the cost of salaries, basically, without all those additional costs like benefits, office space, electricity, and so on, all the costs that you would actually have to take into consideration. So that was Renewal Assist Bots. Next one up, Claims Sync Bot. The Claims Sync Bot helps brokerages keep their claims data accurate by automatically comparing the information from the insurance carrier's reports with what's in your BMS, in this case, Actuaries. If there are discrepancies, it corrects them for you, reducing manual work. And this bot is currently available to Actuaries users based in Canada and the UK. And I am very happy to introduce our guest speaker at this time, Steve Stockley from McCarran Codes, a brokerage based in the UK. They have successfully implemented the Claim Sync Bot, and Steve is here today to tell us more about it. So, Steve, thank you very much for joining us today, and over to you.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. Yeah, like I said to you guys, the bot has saved us a great deal of effort and time expenditure from my team. The time saved from manually inputting the values that are sent to us by the insurers saves us roughly, I think Marco, we had 2 FTEs, wasn't it, based on what we've done so far, which based on an average salary for our handlers is quite significant. It frees up time to remove from the administrative tasks, so we can focus on the actual outcome of the claims rather than just the admin tasks that are set by the team. It also ensures the data that we're getting through from the insurers is mirrored our end, so we can live feed into our clients as well to give them a realistic position on their claims performance and ultimately what their premium is likely to look like rather when it comes to the renewal period. Again, this is something that will probably evolve more and more the more volume of claims that we continue to handle. Obviously, the effects on the FTE number will likely increase. So yeah, this has saved us no end of hassle and administrative time. It's something that we'll probably look to further implement, and we'll work on other tasks as well, I think, in terms of automation.
Thank you, Steve. That was brilliant. We still have one more bot to tell you about. So, loss history bot. So last but not least, the loss history bot takes care of the entire process of getting MVR and Auto Plus reports all automatically. And yet again, it saves time, reduces human errors, and frees up your team to focus on more important tasks. It is currently available to Epic users based in Canada. And you guessed it right, Marco has a video. So Marco, again, over to you.
Thank you, Dana. So now I will screen share the video of the loss history bot in action, starting from the initial login page, of course. Now, like Dana said, this bot takes care of ordering and uploading of MVR and Auto Plus requests, and it soon is going to be doing the same for personalized home, meaning for home requests as well. The way the bot works is the starting point is a word form. It's a request form which is being generated from Epic. And as you as users, in case you're, for example, working on a remarket and you need information that's already in Epic, you simply need to generate the form and it will populate all the pertinent information automatically. So you won't need, there's not going to be a need to do anything manually. In case you are working on a new business or if you're adding a driver, in that case, you will need to add the information to that request form. And if you're curious, of course, we are the ones setting up the form, so there is not going to be any work on your end on that one. From that point on, the bot will read the form, will go to the CGI portal, and then order the documentation you want, no matter like the number of drivers or the carrier. So it's going to order an Auto Plus report or an Auto Plus Gold report, depending on the setup. It will order MVR reports. It knows how to handle duplicates. It knows how to handle in case the type of report you're ordering isn't available for your carrier. And then it will download all of that and breaking down back to Epic. Now, this is not where the bot really stops its work. As you know, sometimes MVR requests are overnight requests. In that case, the bot will log in the following day, but before your work hours start, and it will print all of those overnight MVRs and return them to Epic. So when your staff comes in, when your brokers come in, when they need to work on your policies, everything will be ready for that. And another functionality of this bot will also be the compliance part. And sometimes this can be a little bit of a pain in the neck, but basically if you have a new business and you haven't bound coverage for whatever reason, 30 days later, the bot will come in and it will remove all those extra MVRs and Auto Plus that you have, so you do not have to worry about them. Down the line. So yeah, in essence, that's it. What you're seeing on the screen are the finishing parts of the step where the bot will now upload the document, and really happens rather fast. So you didn't see quite a lot of it. And yeah, that's it on this one. Thank you, Dana. Back to you.
Thanks, Marco. We have also prepared some stats for this one. Here, the broker that has successfully implemented this bot is saving 129 hours of manual work monthly. So that's 1.5 full-time equivalent. And again, a massive return on investment, 76,500 Canadian dollars annually estimated, with again, a reminder, a very conservative estimate considering all those additional costs we're not taking into consideration. And as mentioned earlier, we're still working on more bots and more customizations based on the BMS for the ones that we have already released. So you'll hear a lot more from us. And please, on behalf of our sales team, feel free to reach out and we can discuss everything in more details. I'd be happy to have one-on-one calls with you and your teams. And now our CTO, Nick, will tell us more about the implementation and the security. Over to you, Nick.
Thanks, Dana. Hey, everyone. Nick reporting from the development cave. As usual, nice to see you all here. So let's go over three topics that I have prepared here for you. So first things first, when implementing these bots, obviously the first thing you want to do, even before you've chosen a bot and specifically before you start implementing, is making sure that you've chosen the item that's going to save you the most time, that's going to bring you the most ROI, right? So these are going to be the most repetitive pieces of work, but also the ones that you have the most of. There might be work that is repetitive and boring, but you only do it once a day, and a bot wouldn't save you enough time, so it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't be worth the hassle. But I'm sure you can think of at least one or two things in your brokerage where you have somebody spending a lot of their time on that you believe can be automated. And these are the things where you can find the most value with RPA and where you can find the most savings. And also, everything that Pathway does is business process automation, BPA. So even if it's not a problem that RPA is best suited for, it might be something that you can handle with Pathway and with our full suite of tools. And as this happens, as you have running bots, you're going to start seeing results. And as the bots ramp up, as you tweak it to your requirements, it's going to start doing more and more of the work that you've set it up for. So this means that you should start planning on reallocating your resources elsewhere for the people that you're saving time for. So your people should be doing more meaningful work, in the sense, the work that you can't automate, the work that they also probably like doing more than filling in reports and manually keying data into different systems. So just something to keep in mind of as you start running one or more of the bots on your system. So based on the initial results, you can start forecasting and seeing how much time you're going to save and how much value you can bring elsewhere with your existing team. And third, more serious topics on the security side. Pathway brings its extensive experience doing security and compliance. Your security teams are already familiar with us. Your IT teams are familiar with us. And we have good relationships going with all the different BMSs. So we have all of that behind us that we can leverage here as well, make sure that everything's airtight and that it's all in line with all the security best practices and standards. And as Marco mentioned, we bake in the security functionality into the bots themselves. So wherever we can pick something up with the bot and just make sure that it gets done, so that you're not relying on somebody remembering that the report has to be deleted or that a PDF has to be removed, the bot can do that for you. And of course, with hosting and data processing and everything else, as with all the other Pathway products, the data stays where you need it to stay. So in the UK or in Canada or the US, where you're running this. And that's it. Thank you for your time. Alec, over to you.
That's perfect. Thanks, Nick. I'm just going to share my slide here. Okay, so we're going to do a quick recap on the key takeaways, guys. So bots are best for simple, repetitive, rule-based tasks, right? It's estimated that about 1/3 of the work that we're doing can be done technically with bots, okay? Although in reality, it's going to take some time to see that in practice, but excuse me, bots are here to make us more efficient. So you think of them more as assistants. And then humans are essential for relationships, complex decision-making. If 1/3 of our work can be done by bots, that means 2/3 cannot, right? And the benefits, the main benefit is the cost savings is probably the biggest one, right? It's probably the biggest reason to adopt these technologies. If it costs 80% less to use a bot versus doing it manually, it's just hard to make a case for not using bots. Now, there are some legitimate reasons to wait, right? If you're migrating to a new BMS in the next couple of months, I mean, that's a legitimate reason. But I think the biggest mistake people make is just waiting for this perfect time that never comes, right? I mean, today, these tools are an advantage to brokerages using them. Similarly to the automated communications, what you've been doing with Pathway was. But tomorrow, automation is just going to become standard practice. And if you're not using them, you're really going to lose these efficiencies and you're going to struggle, right? So scheduling a consultation. One important thing. So you don't need to lock in for a year. Okay. You can actually start month to month. We're pretty confident in our products, so you don't need to lock in. Okay. And once you're ready to commit to a year and save, you can save an additional 10%. So if you are ready to commit to a year, you can save 10%. By the way, if you're already a client and you want to commit to a year, we are extending a special offer where the first 3 months are free. So any of these bots that we were showing you, first 3 months are free. If you're an existing client, so you might want to consider taking advantage of that. And if you're interested, please schedule a call with our BPA team. Reach out to sales@pathwayport.com. Okay. And so before we wrap up, let's just quickly imagine imagine that you want to implement BPA. What are your options? Because you might be sold on the idea of automating some processes, but you don't want to have to use, but you don't have to use Pathway. Sorry. There are other options. So let's explore those other options. Okay. So one is you could partner with a third-party BPA service provider. And I think a quarter of you will have already done that, right? You're going to get fast implementation, especially if they understand insurance, which some of them do. So that's a plus. That's a plus. But it is, from what we've seen anyway, it is costlier than Pathway. From the ones we reviewed, it's considerably costlier than Pathway. You're also likely locked into annual contracts, okay? And it's sort of a big risk that I wouldn't take unless I had to. And we're hearing from some of our clients that are trying some of these services where they're complaining about different issues, but they are contractually locked in. So that's a bit of a negative, right? DIY, I think almost 10% of you were, doing something in-house. And the positive to that is that you'll get control over the BPA implementation, customization. You get control over that. So that is definitely a positive. But it is if you're going through this, you probably know this yourself better than we do, but it is a significant initial investment because you're not just paying for software like UiPath or some other software, but you need to build a team to design, create, and test these bots. And it's actually quite costly. And if you're going to spend that sort of money to create the bots, and you need to prepare to have enough of a budget to maintain them. Okay. There's complexities with maintenance and scaling because buying software for your office, let's say you're buying like Microsoft or Evoy or something, you buy it and it just generally works. BPA or even RPA is different because it's interacting with software. So if a BMS changes the location of a button, or a form changes that it's supposed to interact with, it's just going to break the bot. So there's just ongoing maintenance, and it's something that needs to be considered. So even if you're doing this, or even if you're building your own bots in-house, and I know a lot of larger brokerages and carriers, of course, are, I would still consider using Pathway while you're doing that, alongside that, because you're gonna experience the benefits of automation immediately instead of waiting until these things are done, right? So yeah, DIY. And then the third option is leverage Pathway for BPA, right? So we have ready to deploy bots. And sometimes I think we should have released this earlier. But now that I'm hearing about these issues with some of our competitors, I'm glad we waited and we tested and we took the time to do it this way. So the ready to go BPA bots, month-to-month payment option. So we're pretty confident in the product and we don't need to lock you in. If you're an existing client and you want to save 10% on annual renewals, we're going to throw in the first 3 months free. By the way, that offer is going to expire at the end of October. So make sure you take advantage of that if you're interested. So that's 3 months free for existing clients. And here is the options recap if you're interested in BPA. And now I want to hand it over to Nick for Q&A.
Thanks, Alec.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just bring up the screen and we'll go through some of the questions we have in the webinar. Okay. Hopefully I can bring them up. Okay, so we have a couple of them already answered, and I'll just sound them out so that everyone acknowledges them. So we had a question about the loss history bot automatically populating data. Do they automatically populate data from the reports into the BMS? Yes, that's exactly what it does. Same as the claims history bot. So the point is, you're starting with a report and you're cleaning up the data in your BMS because sometimes things don't download properly in the BMS. I'm sure you had that happen in the past. Will the Renewal Assist Bot become available in the UK? Currently, it's only available for Canadian users, but we're always looking for new pilot users. So reach out if you're interested. We'd be happy to work with you and your team. For the loss history bot, what about Dash reports? We're working on establishing a Dash connection for Auto Plus as well. So stay tuned. Not currently available though. So on the claims history, the claims bot, the claims sync bot, Jen asks, is it more geared towards personal lines or not? Currently, we're working with fleet insurance, so commercial lines, just because of the volume of claims there. But it's flexible and we can tweak it to work with any line of business. Let us know if you're interested in working on that with us. We'd be happy to set it up. Question regarding Vertipore SIG in Canada. So we do plan, is it available is there any development planned? So it's not available currently. We are working with the Vertipore team to make this happen. There are some technical challenges, some blockers preventing us from working on this right now, but the Vertipore team is very excited about working on this with us as we are with them. So I'm sure something will happen in the near future. So right now, we're still trying to figure that out to get a sense of an ETA. We will definitely be reaching out to our SIG users as soon as we have anything on the horizon there. That's it for the SIG questions. We had a user ask, what's the difference between RPA and BPA? So RPA, you're already familiar with even before hearing about this from us. So an RPA bot does the same thing that a user would do. It mimics those clicks, opens, and manipulations with files. So it goes in basically using the mouse and keyboard and clicks through your BMS, clicks through the report, uploads files, creates entries in your BMS, and things like that. With BPA, you get something extra. So BPA, business process automation, in our case, leverages the integration that we already have with your BMS. So think of all the data that we're already syncing into your Pathway account. And then this bot can call an API on the Pathway side and make sure that it's not going through the BMS for every single thing. This allows it to process a lot more data and do a lot more actions in a shorter amount of time than a regular RPA bot. So if an RPA bot can do 100 operations a day, a BPA setup can do thousands, just because it can get a whole list of policies and clients in a single go and then know where to go from there instead of going through every single screen to get every single piece of info. So that's the main benefit of BPA versus RPA, but it's also just a lot more options, just leveraging everything else that Pathway does. Like you can imagine it plugging in to your Pathway account and just doing a lot more there. That's sort of the shorter version. So we have a bunch more questions. Timelines for the Renewal Assist Bot in the UK and for Actress. No timelines yet, but let's connect. I see a lot of questions about our UK future here. So let's connect and see where we can bring the most value to your brokerages. And then we can also figure out an ETA. Syed asks, can I have a list of automations that we can do using Actress? Right now, only the claim sync bot. So it does the claim resolution in Actress based on a report. Right now for fleet insurance, but as Marco replied in the QA, we can tweak it to work with other lines of businesses as well. And then the other automations are going to largely depend on the interests that brokers show and the brokers that are willing to work with us on expanding our BPA and RPA capabilities in the UK and on Actress. Okay, Alec, do you want to take over?
Sure. Sure, Nick, thanks. I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, I wanted to just quickly thank you guys. If there is more questions, just reach out to us. If you're already a client, reach out to us in Slack or just email us, and we're happy to answer your questions. But we're going to wrap things up for now. And I just want to thank everyone who attended. You know, in insurance, there's this ecosystem. There's BMSs, there's tech companies like us, and there's associations, there's networks, there's groups, there's carriers, there's so many parties. But if I'm honest, it's not the easiest ecosystem to be a part of, right? When there's new tech coming into these legacy systems, it's not always easy. And you know, I see why so many good tech companies have decided to invest into other industries, because there are barriers. And I'm not complaining. I'm really not complaining. I'm just stating some facts. And the reason I'm saying it is because, you know, I think brokers are, you know, the reason the Pathway is what it is today, right? We have almost, I think, 400 clients, and it's brokers that insisted on using Pathway. So without brokers demanding to use the tools that they want to use, Pathway would just not be nearly as successful. So big thanks to you. And I hope these bots and our other products continue to bring you guys value. Again, please contact sales at pathwayport.com. and to get a closer look. And as Nick mentioned, if there are processes that you guys would like us to consider to build a future bot, then just please also reach out to us, and we're happy to take a look at that. Okay, so thanks again for attending, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys soon. So the webinar is officially over, but you know, if you want to hear this, you know, if you're still here and you want to know about this Clooney and Bono, you know, business, I'm happy to share it. I hope I didn't overhype it, by the way, but it's a true story, and it's actually more about how we ended up in the insurance space, because it was completely by accident. It was unplanned, and here's the story. So yeah, let me just share the story. So my wife Dina was host of a popular morning show. Steve, you guys probably have, in Canada, it was breakfast television. In the UK, I know morning TV is also a pretty big thing. I'm sure you guys have something. And she, yeah, it is. It's a big deal. And so yeah, she was, for 16 years, she hosted breakfast television until recently. And she invited me to a party. At that time, it was TIFF. Like during this time of year, there's something called TIFF, which is the Toronto International Film Festival. And it's essentially where, you know, a lot of Hollywood and even international films come, and it's become a pretty big festival. It takes place in Toronto. And she wanted to go to a kind of a TIFF industry party. And I usually don't like going to these things, but I said, fine. And, you know, we walk into this, we go upstairs. I think it was the Soho House or something in Toronto. And we walk in, and the first person I see, like literally the door opens, the first person I see is George Clooney. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And, you know, I walk down a little bit, and sitting on a sofa there is Natalie Portman. You know, these are like pretty big. These are pretty big celebs. And so I sit down. I sit down somewhere, and somebody comes. They have like a British kind of accent, and they say, "Do you mind if I sit?" You know, I'm not going to do the accent, but they said, "Do you mind if I sit here?" And I say, "Sure." And my wife says, "Do you know who that is?" I said, "No, he looks familiar, but I don't know." She goes, "It's Ewan McGregor from Star Wars, like Obi-Wan Kenobi." I'm like, "Oh my God, this is incredible." And I mean, it's better than the last few parties with my relatives, right? Anyway, it's kind of interesting. And then so I'm standing a couple of feet away from Clooney at one point, and Bono comes to talk to Clooney. And I grew up on YouTube. YouTube was like a big thing for us growing up. And I don't know, I still don't know to this day what Bono was doing there, because this was a film festival, but I guess he must have been, I don't know, he must have been connected to it somehow. So Bono was there talking to Clooney. There's probably 5 or 10 other stars that I have no idea who they are, but it was a pretty interesting party. And I was still sort of feeling good from this party. My wife asks, do you want to go to, this is a few days later, she goes, do you want to go to another party? And I just assumed it was going to be another party to hang out with our friends, Clooney and Bono. And I said, yeah, I didn't even ask any questions. And it ends up being the Insurance Brokers Association of Ontario, the IBAO. She's hosting the event. She's getting paid to host the event. And so I went there, honestly, kicking and screaming like a 6-year-old kid, because I'm like, what am I going to do? Insurance brokers? What, we were just hanging out with Bono and Clooney, and what am I going to do with brokers? But it ended up being, it ended up being better than that party. It was amazing. I met some amazing people. And I remember that night I was sitting at a table, and I sat next to Randy Carroll, who was the CEO of IBAO at the time. And we didn't even talk about work the whole night. He was talking about how he was into fishing in the Florida Keys. And, we were just talking about that kind of stuff. At the very end of the night, before we leave, he says, by the way, like, what do you do? We spent all this time talking. And I told him that we built this software for Rogers. Rogers, by the way, is like if you're in the UK, Canadians know them. They're like a big telco, like phone, internet, that sort of thing in Canada. And we had built some software for them where their dealers could log in and download marketing material. So they put in they personalize it with their information, and then it stays consistent and they can download. And as soon as I said that to Randy, he says, we need this for insurance, because I think at that time, this was a while ago, they were going through auto reforms, and they wanted some way to disseminate information very consistently through all the brokers. So he immediately said, we need this. So come in. So that's exactly how we got into insurance. So I went there kicking and screaming, and my wife won't let me forget it, because, to this day, our lives revolve around insurance, right? So, I'm so grateful. I'm honestly fortunate for that night. And by the way, all the brokers that I could remember that I met that night did become clients eventually when we built Pathway. At that time, we had built some other software, and then a few years later, there's a broker by the name of Adam Mitchell. Adam Mitchell, who runs Mitch Insurance, used to be called something else, but it's Mitch Insurance. He suggested that we do this, so he's actually the reason that we built this for insurance. And so long story short, it was completely by accident that we got into insurance, and but we're so glad and we're so grateful, and we met amazing people, and we built a great company. We're really proud of it. So thank you guys for everything, and I hope I didn't waste your time with this stupid story, but I just thought it was kind of interesting. Anyway, so so thank you guys, and I guess we could wrap it up.